Hello, Mike. How are you? How is your day?
I'm doing well, Eitan. How are you today?
Doing great. Thank you so much for your time. So, we're going to talk about influencer marketing, some of the best practices. You've been doing this for so many years now, and probably with one of the most successful projects out there. So, let's start by you for share with us who you are for the listeners to know you better.
Sure. So my name is Mike Newton, and I've been in the influencer marketing space since 2016, really. Although technically I did get my start by working with Kobe Bryant when I was in China. He was the spokesperson for Lenovo smartphones, and I wound up quarterbacking a big photo shoot that we did with him. But really, I
Wow.
would say, I really sort of put the date where I really got into influencer marketing during my time at Discord in 2016. So I was the 21st employee at Discord, and I got hired to take Discord's partner program from a handful of Twitch streamers to much bigger than that. And that's what I did. So over the course of 18 months, we worked with a couple dozen of the top Twitch streamers. We brought on over 300 YouTubers worldwide, and it got pretty nuts. That program was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. And then I've done
Wow.
it a few different ways since then. I've done high ticket e-commerce, low ticket e-commerce, and a variety of different things. So I've seen a lot of different sides of influencer marketing. And I
Wow. So,
think I
tell us more
also,
about. Go ahead.
oh,
Sorry.
sorry about that.
No, go ahead.
I'm a marketing generalist. I've built paid media advertising programs. I've built email marketing programs. And so I think that also gives me a unique look at where influencer marketing sits in the overall mix for companies and why you might think about influencers as opposed to some other types of marketing channels.
Yeah, exactly. So when this would be a good strategy versus other so many marketing efforts out there.
Yeah, I think it's a great launch strategy for some people, and it's a great scale strategy for other people. So, who would launch with influencers? Well, if you are a brand that has a strong community component around your product or around your brand, then that can be a great place to start because you have content creators who already exist out there in the space you're trying to serve. And if you want to be from day one integrated into that community, influencers are a great way to do that. Or maybe you've been around for a little bit, you've used some other marketing strategies or channels until that point, and now you're ready to wade into the field of influencer marketing. Working with influencers can be great because they can help bring you as an established brand into that space and they can give you credibility. We'll talk about that.
Mhm.
They can also be partners in helping educate you on that space. And it feeds into so many other marketing programs as well. Influencer marketing works best when it doesn't work in a bubble. So there are many different ways that you can slice and dice influencer marketing programs.
Yeah, and for your experience, there are like industries or type of companies or type of products that are more appropriate for this type of effort, or because everyone just talking about influencer marketing these days because acquisition on Meta and Amazon, I mean, is so expensive, and CPCs are
Mm-hmm.
getting very, very high. So everyone is obviously considering influencer marketing. But from your experience, what are probably the things that are appropriate to analyze and probably to know in advance before you go to this such an effort?
Yeah, I think it comes down to business model. So there are certain types of businesses now. Since we're talking about the e-commerce space specifically, so I'll try to
Sure.
keep it within these boundaries.
Mhm.
Um, but look at your business model. So if you have a consumable product, that can be a great spot for influencer marketing. If you have higher ticket, like I've sold $3,000 custom built gaming PCs with influencers before. Um, where it gets really hard is if you have low price and tight margins, because it puts a lot of pressure on the influencer to deliver the ROI that will make the juice worth the squeeze, or else you'll have
Mhm.
to take the cost of investing into an influencer who may not bring profitability and recoup it in other channels. And look, as I just said before, that's not an uncommon strategy, but it can put a lot of pressure on the program if you need it to deliver profitability to you on an aggressive timeline. So certainly having a bit more margin or more LTV in your business model is going to be a big boon if you want
Mhm.
to consider going after influencers. And maybe
Yeah.
we can take a second just to go through some definitions. Um, there's a lot of nuance or there's a lot of like room for error when I say influencer. What do I mean? So let me just sort of make that clear real quick.
Mhm.
An influencer, the term is often used interchangeably with a creator these days. And you'll hear me sort of swap between the two depending on whatever I'm saying at the moment. But an important point to make is that an influencer is a creator, but a creator is not necessarily an influencer. And so when you hear the term UGC, for example, or maybe CGC, creator generated content, you can have somebody who's really good at generating creative content like videos and statics and stuff, who may not necessarily be an influencer.
Mm-hmm.
What defines an influencer is that they have authority and trust with a group of people. And so when I say influencer, that's what I mean by influencer. And
Yes.
then a lot of folks who have been around influencer marketing, I'm sure they've heard some of the delineations like celebrity, mega, nano, micro, whatever. Oftentimes those groupings of influencers they use follower counts. And I don't particularly put much stock in follower counts.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of an outdated way of thinking about things. And we can talk a bit more about what I actually care about when I look at influencers and how I determine whether or not somebody is a person that I would want to work with. But let's just say up front, like, discard your notion of relying on follower accounts, because especially in the age of TikTok, they mean even less than they ever have before.
Exactly. So probably let's focus on this topic because I think this is an important one, like the number of followers, right? So probably can define nano influencer or micro influencer, 10,000, 20,000 followers, but what is the quality of the followers and why they are there? And let's try to analyze how to evaluate an influencer impact and how do you choose an influencer these days in the TikTok
Sure.
era?
Yeah. So there are quantitative elements to the analysis and there are qualitative elements to the analysis.
Mhm.
So quantitatively, that's things like audience demographics, geographic location, age, gender, those kinds of things. And then also like content performance. So when I say don't look at followers, what I recommend you do instead is look at their content performance. So particularly focusing on platforms like TikTok or Instagram Reels, where you can have creators who punch above their weight class in terms of the numbers that their content pulls, but their follower count could be very small, and vice versa. They could have high follower count, but low average video views. So I'm always looking at the median views for a creator's content, because that will tell me, like, when on a normal everyday basis, when they upload a piece of content, what type of performance does it get? So I'm looking at those median views and I'm looking at those median engagements to understand, like, all right, well, it's not just their content gets viewed, but do people interact with it? Do they comment on it? And then dipping into the qualitative side, what type of comments are they? Are people excited about the content? Are they helping each other in the comments? Are they laughing, joking with each other? Or is it maybe more strident type of commentary? Maybe the creator could be a divisive one. And that's not necessarily a reason not to work with the creator who is a divisive creator, if that's your brand and that's what you're going for. There are brands out there that align with people who have, let's just say, stronger taste in content. So, so that's part of the qualitative aspect. And then it's also like, well, have they activated with brands before, and who? And I'll go try to watch those pieces of content and say, do I like this? Do I think they did a good job? What if this were my piece of content? Would I enjoy that? And so, yeah, that's you have like the community tone, the vibe in the comment section. Have they done other work with brands before? So at the state where I'm at, I'm pretty experienced with this. It takes me 5 or 10 minutes usually to go through kind of evaluating a creator. But for someone who's less experienced, I imagine it'll take a bit longer. Certainly when I started out, it took a while longer.
Yeah. And for a brand to initiate such a campaign, obviously this requires probably some technology tools to have all this analytics data, or you go directly to the accounts of the influencers. How many influencers you need, to launch a specific campaign? What are some of the best practices around that? Because initially, obviously with TikTok, it used to be easier than today to grow organically and to go viral, or even today it's much more crowded, right? So maybe the quantity of the number of videos is relevant. What are your thoughts?
So in terms of technology, this may come as a shock to some people, but all you need is a Google Sheet and native platform search tools. That's all you need to get started. And when we talk about tools are like throwing gasoline on a fire. Tools come into to play when you're trying to do things faster, right? You're trying to scale, accelerate your growth, etc. But if you're just starting out, don't touch any tools. Just
Okay.
go get on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram and start searching around. And this is a key tip I like to give to people when they're trying to find their first handful of folks they'd like to work with. Imagine that you are your customer. Some people are customers of their own products, some people are not. But imagine you're the customer and try to just engage with social media the way that your customer would. And what that usually means is they're not looking for people who aren't aware of you are not going in and asking specific targeted questions about how do I do this or how do I do that.
Sure.
People are not oftentimes that problem aware, right? They're looking for other things. They want to be entertained or educated or whatever about other random stuff. And so if you can step into the shoes of your customer and try to get an understand of what type of content do they consume, and then just start scrolling. And when you see something that jumps out at you, have your spreadsheet open on the side or whatever, you see a creator that jumps out who makes a really good piece of content, makes you stop the scroll, you watch it and you love it. Well, grab that and put that in the spreadsheet. And you do that for a half hour a day for a week, and you're going to have a handful of folks who really jumped out at you that you liked. And that could right there be your initial group of folks that you want to talk to. And it's really that simple. And to give you an example of this, I met an author recently. He came to me and he was saying, well, I think if I could get my book into the hands of some book influencers or book content creators, it would really have some legs. And so I gave him that advice. I said, just go home. There's Book Talk, there's Bookstagram, there's BookTube. Just like take some time and do that thing. And he messaged me back the next day and he's like, I found 30 people and I've already reached out to all of them and I had 5 people say yes. So in 24 hours, he went from how do I do this? Is this possible for me? To having 5 people who wanted to get a copy of his book.
Great. So work natively on the platform, search for the right, probably not too specific terms of what your product is doing, right? Something else that you might think that your shoppers might search for or interested in. And once you have that list, what's the next step? How do you reach out?
Well, you've got 2 options at that point. You can either work through the platform's native DMs, messages and stuff like that, or you can go to email. Now, if you're just starting out and you don't necessarily have a recognizable brand name, I recommend that you go to email. In general, I favor email. It's very easy to get sort of lost in the DMs. In general, I favor email. I will use DMs as a secondary channel. If I've emailed somebody 2-3 times and they haven't responded, then I'll try to go get them in the DMs. Or I'll start liking their content and leave value adding comments. So they see, oh, look, there's this person who likes my stuff. But, either send them a DM straight on the platform or grab their contact information and send them an email. And now this is like a big pet peeve of anyone who works in influencers. There are so many creators out there who don't put their contact information anywhere for brands to find, which is such a shame. But if you look, you can find it.
Yeah. So, do you think it's like a technical error or they don't want to cooperate with too many brands?
I think it's a combination of it's an error of omission on one hand and probably a fear of spam on the other, is my guess.
Yeah, because the reach out and how do you approach? What would be like a typical script for this email?
So when I'm reaching out, now let's say one more quick definition here. There are brand sponsorships or sort of brand activations. This is like I'm going to pay you a fee to make a piece of content or either include me in a piece of content that you're already making or make a piece of content for me. And so that's like brand sponsorships. And then there's like what's commonly known as gifting or seeding or affiliate, type stuff where you're reaching out with sort of a different intent. So if it's a brand sponsorship, write in the subject line, paid sponsorship opportunity from brand name.
Okay.
And then in the body of the email, hey, so-and-so, I'm so-and-so, like, I'm interested in talking to you about whether or not you want to work with us. Like, here's the details of the campaign. can I get on a call with you? And this might seem a little outdated, but
Hmm.
as much as possible, I do try to talk to the creators before I sponsor anyone, because that gives me a chance to A, establish rapport, and B, get to know a lot more about their business. Now, if this is like a seeding micro creator affiliate type thing, I'm not paying them any money. And so I have like the asks I make of them are way lighter. All it is at that point is like, I found you because of this reason. I've got this product I think that you would love. If it's okay with you, can I send it to you? And make sure you ask permission for this, because the days of
Hmm.
just like sending free product is, I think they're kind of over. We're
Over.
starting to see a
Yeah.
lot of creators like show their closet full of stuff that they've been sent
Yes.
and they've never even touched. And
Yeah.
so ask permission, ask permission. Um, and when they say yes, then you know that they're happy to get it from you. And that's a great sign. If they say, no, I think I'm okay, I'm not interested, then like, great, all the best. Move on to the next
Yes.
one.
When would be a good strategy to go for the seeding slash great gifting strategy?
Yeah, the seeding and gifting strategy um, versus the brand sponsorship strategy are not mutually exclusive. Best case scenario, you wind up doing both, but there are reasons why you might start with one versus the
Yeah.
other. So, starting with a seeding strategy, um, there are people who have nothing but product and no budget to spend, and so it's like I've got a warehouse full of stuff. That's my budget, is the cost of my
Hmm.
product. And
Yes.
so if that's what you got, then work with what you got. Um, but I also recently spoke to a brand that's about to launch in the CPG space, and they specifically wanted to pursue a seeding strategy because of what I mentioned at the top of the episode here. They really wanted to take that community approach. So they were leaning heavily into a seeding thing so that they could just be a part of the community, be a part of that conversation, and do that in a way that felt really organic rather than sort of buying their way in.
Yeah.
Because depending on what community you're approaching, buying your way in can be fine, or it can, cause challenges with perceptions of your brand.
Yes.
Gaming in particular is notorious for brands to try to buy their way in, and gamers don't like that.
Yeah. Sure. So you ship the products as a gift, or right? And you try to seed a community, but it's not
Hmm.
guaranteed that they will create a video, that they will post a
No,
video, right?
nope. No, it's not a
Exactly.
guarantee. And so, I'm a huge fan of building models and forecasts. And so, like, if you were to go to my website and look at my tools, you'll see I have all the stuff laid out because I love me a good spreadsheet. And so I just make assumptions around, if I send 100 products out to 100 creators, what do I think my hit rate's going to be? Is it going to be 25%, 40%? Um, I try to make an assumption, and then I go with it and see, what actually happens in reality. But yeah, you should definitely assume that, like, depending on your product and the fit with the creator, et cetera, various factors, that like there's going to be a conversion rate on product seeding to content posted.
Yes. Yes. And what are those probabilities? What are the conversion rates for seeding?
Yeah, I think
I mean, is it
it
probably
it
it's niche
varies.
dependent, and there are a lot of parameters here, but just a general.
Yeah. How cool is your brand? How cool is your
Yeah.
product? Like this is the sort of art and science aspect of influencer marketing. Like, have you done a good job of making sure that you've found the right people who are really a good fit for this stuff?
Hmm.
Um, there's one of my clients I'm working with is it's a celebrity brand launch, and I would expect that they're not going to have much of an issue getting conversion on content posted, because like it's a pretty big name celebrity, and people are going to want to be affiliated with that.
Yeah.
Um, if you're starting out and you don't have much credibility or credentials, or there's not much behind you, then like you're gonna have to do extra legwork to get people to do that for you.
Yeah.
Tabs chocolate is a great case study. A lot of people like to cite, and there's a great interview with the founder on YouTube, and he talks about how like he had to reach out to thousands of creators to get all the content that he wanted, because
Mhm.
they were just an unknown, sex chocolate brand. Like that's you really got to
Yeah.
work hard to get people to buy into that, I think.
Again, it's always more difficult for the unknown brands, right? I
Hmm.
mean, you're
Yep,
young, you're fresh, you wanna scale, but it's so difficult on every aspect.
that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
all you have when you're young and just starting out as a brand is just like elbow grease and speed.
Yeah. Yeah. what are some of the? There are a lot of myths around this influencer
Mm-hmm.
marketing effort, right? Well, what are,
Yep.
let's try to discuss them one by one.
Yeah, one of the major myths is that when you talk about influencer marketing, you're automatically talking about Kim Kardashian or Pete Davidson or The Rock. Like there is almost no brand should ever approach a celebrity, ever. If you're gonna, now again, I say this having worked with Kobe Bryant.
Hmm.
Before we did the Kobe shoot, there was like a 6-month planning process where we had a whole media calendar, like what collateral do we need, where's it going in print and digital, and I mean, like it was a year-long schedule that we laid out so that when Kobe showed up, we had like 4 hours of a shoot with him, and we needed to
Hmm.
get everything in 4 hours. And so if you're not ready for that level of sophistication, then don't talk to celebrities unless
Hmm.
one happens to pluck you out of obscurity, and then you've just won the lottery. So congrats. Um, so really, like, think in terms of, well, what does it mean to be quote unquote celebrity in your space? Who's someone who's influential in the community, and so just like make that a lot smaller, and then recognize that there's a creator out there for almost any budget. There are creators who will take only product and affiliate as their agreement. There are creators who, if you've got a couple $100 and that's what you can afford, that's what they'll take. This is why I always encourage people, like, within reason. Obviously, we don't want to be insulting. If they're asking for 20K and you've got $200, just be like, whoa, sorry, we're on 2 different planets. But if they're asking for 5K and you've got 3, like $3,000, just say, look, this is the offer I can make you. What do you think? You'd
Hmm.
be surprised. You'd be very surprised how often people will say yes because of a variety of other reasons. Like they just think it's cool or they want to take it on, yada, yada, yada. So shoot your shot. So that's one of the big myths, is that influencer automatically means Kim Kardashian or, Yoga Pants or Jim Bro.
Hmm.
There are so many. The internet is massive, and the internet is as diverse as the human race is diverse. So there are
Yeah,
so many interests, so many niches and little corners and nooks and crannies for you to crawl into. So just like go out there and experience the vastness of the internet. And the limit of what you can do with influencer marketing is really only limited by your imagination.
clear. And okay, so we've selected the influencer, we worked with them on the scripts, they created some content. What are some of the best practices for conversion, right? Because I think this is what the main focus of all these activities are.
Absolutely. Yeah. So best practice for conversion is to recognize whether or not the creator you're working with is someone who's going to be a conversion creator in the first place. So we could, potentially split creators into 2 buckets. We have brand creators or reach creators, and then we have product and conversion creators, and they're not always the same. Brand creators can do a lot of conversion and vice versa, but like think of it in terms of like, am I doing this to drive reach and generate awareness within a target audience? Or am I doing this to like take an audience that's already warm and interested, and I know that, and like just get them over that final hump to make the purchase? So that's the
Hmm.
first thing. Is just be really clear with who you're working with and why. Past that, the next thing is to recognize, like, what is it that creator is best positioned to do to help close the sale? Do you need them to like bump USPs? Do you need them to remove objections? Is it about like giving the social proof so that somebody feels okay, comfortable buying it? So just like think about, all right, where is this person at in their journey as a customer potentially, and then like try to craft the content, the messaging around that.
Hmm.
And then the last bit is like the influencer isn't the only person responsible for making the sale. They make the content, they do the best that they can, but like you got to give them something to work with. Give them some ammo. It doesn't have to be a discount. I know everyone always talks about discount codes and stuff.
Hmm.
But like, do think about ways that you can take advantage of that psychological trigger that we call reciprocity. So I'll give you a really good example of an activation I saw that I loved that had sort of like a free bonus to it that didn't involve a discount. This guy, Destin, OG YouTuber, smarter every day. So he works with Ridge Wallets and made this really interesting video. Like, if we fire 2 bullets at each other. Can we get them to fuse with the Ridge wallet? It was very, very Destin,
Wow.
sciencey heavy type video. And so I watched the whole video. It's like 30 something minutes. I loved it. And what he did with Ridge was he's like, I've got this huge workshop and I'm in this house, whatever. I'm always losing my wallet. And so I put an Apple AirTag on mine so that I can always find my wallet no matter where it is in the house. And so when Ridge approached me and said, hey, let's do something together, I asked them, I'm down if you're cool with throwing a free AirTag into the bundle for anyone in my community who buys a Ridge wallet. And so that's what they did. So like when you
Nice.
clicked through, and so this was the other operational component of it, Destin wasn't like, oh, just go to Ridge and type in Destin to get the thing. Click the link. That's how you get the bundle. So you click, then you go to the landing page. It's got Destin's happy face on there with the bundle, and then that's where you close the sale. So
Nice.
the brand has work to do on the back end as well to make sure that experience from content consumption to conversion is seemingly one seamless experience. And it's not that hard to do. You can
Nice.
spin up a Shopify landing page fairly easy these
Yes.
days, and
course, of course.
and make it match with your partners. So
Yeah. I like the use case because everyone said, okay, let's just push a coupon code and that's it. It's just the most straightforward thing to do. But
yeah,
try to
here's
be
your
more
10%.
creative. Yeah. Try to be more creative, bundle things, make it more interesting. Right?
Yeah. And that's just a great example of, I talked about like putting yourself in the consumer's shoes. Like, I think probably every guy has at least misplaced their wallet once, if not at least lost it straight up, right? And so you immediately go like, yeah, of course, I've been there. That's me. How can we help the consumer solve a problem beyond just what our product is designed to solve? One other quick example is a while back in 2019, I worked with a luxury backpack company, and we thought about like the backpack as sort of a container for your lifestyle. And so we did some extra products like a water bottle or a battery, like a phone charger, a battery pack. You would get those free with purchase when you got the bag, because like these are things that people would want to use, with the bag. And so, and those became extra products that like company could then offer and do upsell, bundling, cross-sell, stuff like that too. So a little bit extra margin on top of the sale. So be a little creative with your product strategy and think about other ways that you can mix stuff in.
Nice. So, Mike, how do you measure the success of these campaigns? I mean, how do you calculate the ROI?
Yes.
Let's go to the
$1
fun
million
stuff,
question.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's start with the bad news, which is that it's always been hard to measure like fully direct attribution, and it's only gotten harder since like all the changes in the new privacy environment, right? Like
Obviously.
iOS 14.5 in 2021, marketer's worst nightmare. Nevertheless, here we are. So, I still use UTM parameters, and I still, monitor that in the way that we've been doing for years. But, really that's the main reason why to continue, you should continue with like offers and bundles or even codes or what have you, even though, codes can have fraud issues, is because that's still to this day, like your best bet for tracking conversion. And also like start thinking a bit more broadly about what other benefits you get from working with someone. It may be that you're running a conversion focused program, but like you are getting brand lift. You are potentially getting earned media value. There are cost efficiencies that you gain if you're running an email marketing program or a paid advertising program. Like if you're using that content over there, how's that doing for you? So like within the silo of influencer marketing, there's how is this program doing on its own? But then within the larger context of your whole business, there's how is this fitting into the overall mix of our marketing? So yes, like the direct attribution has got a lot harder. Not that it was ever all that easy in the first place. We were lucky at Discord that we had like direct server invite links that we could track. So we didn't need like web session conversion type. It was just like we had a unique URL and there were so many new users that came into that server, and so we could see it.
Yes.
But ecom, the only ecom equivalent of that is coupons, and if you don't love coupons or whatever, then you're a little out of luck. So do your best, squint a little bit, and think a bit more broadly about all the different ways that influencers can help you.
Yes. I mean, if it's a coupon code, it's obviously very easy to measure, right? I mean, some of
Mm-hmm.
the, like if it's an Instagram story and you can redirect or through a link to a Shopify page or to your
Mm-hmm.
ecom page, it's another easy one. Obviously, with organic, in most of the platform, you cannot put a link or anything, right? So it's
Right.
unless it's a TikTok shop again, and it's another opportunity to push sales
Mm-hmm.
through TikTok. But all the
Yeah.
other like brand awareness and all the impression type of things that eventually, you got an order through your ecom platform. It's very difficult to understand, where the journey
Yes.
started, and attribution is very difficult. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and so that's what we also fall back on the classic post-purchase survey as well.
yes,
Where'd you hear about us? And
yeah,
that's probably the best way for you to get the most accurate picture of where that customer came from.
yes. So obviously everything we talked is just a fully organic type of work, right? I mean, and I hear that I mean, if videos are performing well, so just zero in on your activities with that influencer, probably incite them with like more commission, right? And also you can also move to a paid media type of activity to push some of those videos, right? Do you have experience with
Mm-hmm.
this type of organic versus performance, like earned
I
versus
do,
owned?
admittedly, a little bit less.
Hmm.
I've mainly been like, I've had other folks who have run like the paid side for the content,
Yeah.
um, but uh, I've still seen the efficiency of it. I've seen how like a lot of these organic creative, just like this is on headlines everywhere. Like, oh, it's the ROAS goes up by double or the CAC goes down by half, and so
Hmm.
it can happen. It's not a guarantee that it will happen, but it certainly can happen. The one emphasis I'll put on here is that like as much as you're able, get as much content from people as you can. Obviously, like the larger the influencer is, the more likely they're going to want to ask for licensing fees and things like that. And so just I manage that by saying like, well, I'll like give me like 30 days. I always try to negotiate some kind of window into the contract. Just like, hey, I don't know if this is actually going to work for me or not. So like give me
Hmm.
a very short period, 7, 14, 30 days. Let me just go run it. And then if it works, I'll come back and I'm going to like buy this for 3 months or what have you.
Nice.
Um, but like, so you'll never know, just like you don't really know which influencer is going to hit. You also never really know which ad's going to hit. So, get as much content as you can, try it all, and see what sticks. And then
Yes.
the other piece that I'll add on there is, there are different types of content that you make with the influencer as well. So there's the organic mention style thing, the product showcase. You can have dedicated content if you really want somebody to dive into the features and show what the product can really do, what it's good for. And so make sure that if you're not the one running the ads, make sure you're best buddies with whoever the creative strategist on the ad side is so that they
Hmm.
can give you feedback about what's working, and then you can help source good content that will help them. Because
Yes.
this is really a cross functional effort. Is like, all right, you help me and I'll help you. You tell me what's good and then I'll try to source more of that for you. Um, so yes, like try all different types of formats, organic integrations, product showcases, dedicated stuff, this or that or the next thing. This is why I say that your ability to work with influencers is really limited by your imagination.
Nice. And definitely in the US market, we see like specialization in terms of communities, right? We have now TikTok community and we have YouTube, right? And obviously Meta like Instagram and Facebook. Again, both of them are quite different. You mentioned Twitch
Mm-hmm.
as well. And probably there are others like Pinterest and Snap and a lot. How will brands know where to focus? I mean, maybe let's
Mm.
go. And we know that there are like specialized agencies, right? Working, for example, only on TikTok or only on YouTube or only on Instagram. So our brand knows where to launch a campaign on YouTube or Instagram, or TikTok, or maybe on
Yeah.
all of them together.
Yeah. So I would recommend 3 different approaches. The first is like if you have your own branded socials, then just like wherever you've experienced the most success, that's where you should start.
Mhm.
If you don't have that, then like go look for an aspirational brand or even a competitive brand and see like where are they seemingly experiencing success, and then activate on that platform. Um, and then that's the second one. The third one would be just like ask your customers, where do you like to hang out online? Like do you find yourself on Snap a lot or Pinterest or whatever? Um, Voice of the consumer is always going to be the strongest because they'll just tell you. but lacking the direct feedback from your customer, then like use your own signals from your social or signals from the market.
Yeah.
And then like,
Like,
I
great.
guess one other broader comment I would make on there is like, just understand what the culture of each platform is. Like, it's not rocket science to say that YouTube really thrives on long form and the other two platforms, Instagram and TikTok, thrive on short form.
Good form, yeah.
So like a little research into what content works the best and for what reasons will also go a long way.
Yes. And obviously, there are a lot of discussion and events around live as well these days, with live shopping and what other type of live events, which are more probably create different type of emotion experience for shoppers. So that's
Totally.
another activity that needs to come up into this mix, right?
Yeah, and TikTok Live, I have a lot of experience with the Twitch side of things, but I don't really have much experience with the TikTok Live side of things. So that's like a whole new, or even Amazon streaming, you know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yes.
So we're definitely entering into a new phase of digital commerce in terms of like, sure, everyone's excited about TikTok Shop now, but what's it going to look like in a few years once the shines come off of it and brands have had some time to wrap their heads around it? And you know, I've heard some folks say that it's bad for the brand. Some folks say that it's great for the brand. So I think the jury's still out.
Okay. Yeah, yet to be seen. It's kind of an early stage for that.
Mm-hmm.
Great, Mike. So we're at the fun fact part of the episode. I know you have a lot of interesting stories, so please share with us a few.
All right. Well, I guess the fun fact about me is that I'm a big tea nerd. And so, you know, I may have seen I've taken a couple swigs from some tea here on the call. So I'm currently here in Japan staying with my in-laws, and one of my favorite things to do is I like to go out into Tokyo and just like find cool cafes serving good tea to drink. So if anyone out there wants tea recommendations, hit me up. I'm happy to give you all my best.
Did you find some good ones in Tokyo?
Oh yeah. Yeah, some good ones. Tokyo is actually, it's hard to find good places for tea in Tokyo, shockingly, but there are some really good ones. One that I would recommend for people who want like a really just fancy experience is called Sakurai. It's in Omotesando in downtown Tokyo. That's a really fun one. And then if you're by Tokyo Station, there's Ippodo Cafe, just like a really nice, vibey place to go and have some good tea and some sweets. And then Toraya in Akasaka. Toraya Akasaka. Gorgeous building, beautiful architecture. They've got a museum in the basement. So there's 3 solid recommendations for folks.
Nice. So, Mike, what type of customers are you working with? How people can find you? What are the things that you like doing and type of services that you provide? Yeah.
Right. So my business is that I train brands how to build in-house programs. So if you are looking to develop your own internal capabilities around influencer marketing, then I would love to help you. So over the last 8 years of doing this, I have developed my own playbook and systems, processes, tools, and I will happily sit down next to you in a done with you style sort of 6-week training program, and I'm going to do my best to dump all of my knowledge into your brain and your organization so that you know how to go and succeed with influencers. Wow. And the other thing about that is that I don't hide any of this behind a black box. It's all up on my website. So if you go to buildinginfluence.org, I'm sure we'll put that in the show notes, then you'll see my entire playbook is on my website for anybody to read. And you can get the exact spreadsheet that I've used to build influencer programs, along with a 5-day email course right on my website. And then something that I'd like to offer Ecom Pulse listeners is a free hour consult. So if you'd like to just sit with me and talk about what's going on with your business and whether or not influencers are a fit for you and how we might approach that, then I'll do like a buildinginfluence.org/ecom pulse or something like that. And that'll be a quick link for you to go and grab some of that time with me.
Amazing. Great. And we will share this link in the show notes, obviously. And so the type of customers that you work with, I mean, they need to have like a dedicated influencer guy in-house, or you usually talk to the owners or to the head of marketing, what they need.
Yeah. So it's a mix. It can be, if it's founder-led marketing, then I'll work with the founder. If there's a head of growth, I'll work with the head of growth. Sometimes there are like social media managers who have been tasked to like, hey, go figure out influencer marketing strategy. Sometimes it's like, well, we have an influencer person, but they're junior, and we need someone with more experience to come in and help develop strategy and put, infrastructure in place. So, in full transparency there, I'm still like learning who is like the right person, who's best set up for this kind of stuff. But
Hmm.
yeah, you should have somebody in house who can put their hands on the wheel, and I'll ride shotgun with them.
Nice. Great, Mike. It was really, really interesting. I think we could have continued this for a long. So maybe,
Yeah, time
yeah.
went by real fast. I can't believe 40 minutes already. So
Yes. Anything else you want to add?
only that I would encourage anybody who's curious at all to get in touch. I love
Yeah.
having these conversations and sharing, and you don't have to necessarily want to hire me for anything to just have a conversation. So please do reach out.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Mike.
Thank you so much, Eitan. It was great to be here.